Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to the Quintessentials podcast, where we talk about stories that shape us. And as always, I am your host, Jonathan. And today's something very special. This episode that you're about to listen to or watch, depending on where you're viewing this from, is super cool for me because I'm reconnecting with one of my homies from like back in the day. Like I've known this guy, and we get into it a little bit on the podcast, but I've known this guy since kindergarten, and man, we just talk about life and everything that happens in between that, as always. But just pretty much, I hope that you're able to see how much we've grown. Obviously, like not to the certain extent that we have, because man, like we started off very young. But looking at, my boy John here, man, I just want to say I'm proud of this guy and being able to do what he loves to do, being a flight attendant and whatnot, and starting his own podcast. And so hopefully you guys see that on this episode. And also, just a heads up to everyone listening, if you are very sensitive to hearing, cussing and swear words, there's going to be a few of those on here. And the reason why I decided not to edit it out, because I honestly just wanted to keep it real with him. I wanted John to be his most authentic self. And so, that's just a heads up to everyone listening. If you don't want to hear those words, then you can skip this episode and watch our previous ones. But if you are still here, then thank you. I appreciate it. And as always, sit back, relax, and welcome to the Quintessentials podcast. We're starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up, Joe? How you feeling, bro?
How you doing, Joe?
Wait, is that weird? Do I call you Joe?
I guess.
What do you want me to call you?
I mean, we both have the same names. You can call me Joe, John, as long as I answer, like I'm good.
It's true. So yeah. What do you go by?
Like I said, Joe, John, it really depends on the person. Like they usually call me whatever, as long as I respond. Like a lot of people in Montreal call me Chuck and stuff like that. So
jeez, the Chuck Taylor. I remember that.
Yes, Chuck T. My bad. There's a dog upstairs and
that's all good. I don't hear anything, bro.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah, man. How you been?
I've been good, honestly. It's during COVID, so it's kind of weird with everything going on. But honestly, I started a podcast. I'm doing my own thing. You know what I'm saying? This pretty much it. I've been good.
We're gonna get into that, man. But yeah, before we actually get into like the meat of everything and like whatnot, like why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and all that stuff?
So my name is Jonathan. That's my government. I'm not gonna say my last name because I don't know who your audience is. Then they might like defraud me. Jonathan. My name, where I'm from Montreal right now. I live in Toronto. Moved, I don't know, like 2 years ago, and I'm a flight attendant, but because of COVID, everything stopped. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And we met when we were kids. That's pretty much it.
So yeah, for those of you who don't know, we met since like when we were in kindergarten. That was the first time we met, but then we kind of met in and out of church and stuff.
Yep.
Because we were right. We were in the same faith.
Yeah, we definitely were in the past tense.
But yeah, so we went to school together, and we've known each other since then, right? Like we've kind of interacted a few times. Like you disappeared for a bit in elementary.
100%. Yeah. That's right. I lived in the States.
Yeah.
I moved there. Oh my God, was it third grade or fourth? I think it was. No, I started fourth grade in the States. Mm-hmm. And then
When'd you come back?
I came back grade 8. I came back grade 8.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, came back grade 8. And yeah, honestly, that was a whole experience living in Michigan and stuff like that, because my mother went out there to study to become a pastor.
That's what's up.
So my mom's an Adventist pastor. And nice. She studied there. I went there. Honestly, it was really good formative experience for me, living in the States. There was just that difference of culture. I remember when I was back there, like, the people, I don't want to, how can I say this, like mischaracterize them, but they were really stupid about what Canada was. Like they thought we lived in igloos and shit like that, which is true, maybe like up north and whatever, but it's like, fuck, like I come from Montreal, like, like we're world renowned
Yeah, we're
French
known in
people.
like everywhere. Like
That's
Montreal's
exactly
known for
it.
like fashion
That's
and all that
exactly
stuff.
it. That's exactly it. So yeah, I lived in the States, came back to Montreal, and then yeah, then I pursued my journey to become a flight attendant. 2 years ago, I was working for Health Canada,
Okay.
and working for Health Canada. Anyways, long story short, and I do know this is a podcast, and I hate it when people say long story short to me, but long story short, there was an issue called the Phoenix pay system with the government.
That
And basically, they wouldn't pay me my wages, or they weren't paying me enough, or they were overpaying me. And this was for the whole period that I was working for the federal government of Canada at the Health Canada department.
mhm.
And I was really just sick of, having money or not having money, not having anything sure. So I was like, look, I need to like quit and do something else. So I was willing to like work at McDonald's. Like, this is how
Dang.
desperate I was. And then I applied for a couple different airlines. And I applied first to WestJet,
Mhm.
and that interview was super horrible.
Dang.
And then I applied for my company, which I won't state, and did the interview, the phone interview, went there. They were like, hey, do you want to live in Toronto? I was like, okay, why not? Like change of scenery. I'd always wanted to like move out of Montreal too, because I was
Yeah.
kind of sick of it and I was going through girl troubles. Um,
I
and
feel you on
then,
that, bro.
yeah, you just want to change the scenery. You just
Right,
want
right.
to like do different shit.
Just want to be grown and do something
That's right.
different for sure.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And see, I'm trying not to curse right now.
Bro,
Um,
it's all good. It's all good, man. Just do you. I'll edit it
um,
out.
and yeah, so I was really just trying to do some different shit, and they gave me the opportunity to move to Toronto. I was like, okay, why not? So I had always gone to school and worked at the same time.
Mhm.
So at the time, I was still at Concordia in psychology, and it was crazy because this was during my finals. So I got my answer at the end of March, and I was starting training mid-April. So I had like 2 weeks to find a place in Toronto. Um, yeah, so it was pretty hectic, finding a place to stay, stuff like that. Also, it was like the first time I moved out of my parents' place.
Yeah,
So it
that
was
it's a crazy stuff, eh?
it was crazy. It was hectic.
Mhm.
And then I went into it was crazy. It was hectic. Then I went to yeah. Then I went to Toronto. Started the training. It was really weird because moving to a different city
Mhm.
without knowing that you're gonna like for sure have the job, because it's during training that you figure out like if you pass training then you get the job, right?
Yeah.
So it was basically like it was so nerve-wracking because it's a bunch of tests, and like you need to write like written tests or like practical tests.
For flight
um
attendants?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you have to understand that flight attendants, um the like serving cokes and like food, that's like the like 3% of our job.
Okay.
Like I see stuff on the plane that you can't even like perceive,
Like
like
what? Like what?
if well, that's the thing, like what, I can't divulge like what. But
Damn.
if I step up in a place and I'm in a building and there's like
Yeah.
multiple people, whatever, like I know how to exit. I know like where emergency equipment is and stuff like that if something happens.
Okay.
um very situationally aware, like stuff like that, or like the way someone is going to speak on the plane. It's like, okay, is this person going to be a problem? Is this person, like you really have to really analyze everything. So
Dang.
basically the whole training, it's like they train you on, it's like, what if shit hits the fan? Okay. And then here's how to handle it.
Hmm.
So I remember the first time I walked on the plane, and I was like, oh my goodness, okay, is this person going to attack me? Is this person going to be this? Is it,
Oh,
yeah, but
really?
that's exactly it, because they train you on what's the worst case scenario,
Scenario.
and
Yeah.
we're going to prepare you for that, right? So when
Oh.
you annoy people about bags or like you don't have your food, it's like, okay, whatever, it has nothing to do with the real reason why I'm there. Because if it was only to serve you meals, they
Hmm.
could just get like a vending machine, right? And then people would
It's
serve
true.
themselves, right? But hey, there's a fire in the engine, right? What do you
Yeah.
do? How do
What
you
do you do?
evacuate? Yeah. Again, I can't divulge exactly what we do and how we
All right.
handle the situations, but do know that on planes, a plane can fly with one engine, and even if there's another engine on fire, if there are two
Really?
engines, yeah, yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah,
Well, there you
stuff like
go.
that. Yeah, just like stuff like that, or like I don't know, people get weirded out by turbulence. To me, turbulence is like it's nothing.
It's
It's
chill. It's
just
just
like
it's a ride, basically.
yeah, to me, like roller coasters are nothing because it's literally what I experience in the air. That 30,000 feet in
Dang,
the air.
that's
Right?
kind of
Yeah,
sick though. That's kind of
yeah,
dope.
yeah. It's pretty high. It's pretty high,
What's
honestly.
like the one of the worst case scenarios that you're allowed to talk about that happened?
Worst case scenario.
It could even be just like a random Karen just acting up.
Honestly, I'm so good at like diffusing situations. I
Hmm.
feel like that's one of my strong suits.
Yeah.
So every time that there would be someone that would just, I would just like quickly shut things down. This was probably like during the pandemic, and so what we did, we would get people back from these different countries, right? And I think
Right.
this was shit. I think this was Costa Rica. And this guy comes on. He's like, "Oh, I paid for an upgrade." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
like, I'm the boss of this plane, whatever.
Like for sure.
And I was just having none of his shit. I was like, first of all, I don't know what Corona is, okay? And like, I'm here. I could totally like stay home. I'm here like because I volunteered to be here. I
Right.
could literally call my company and say, "Hey, like, I'm not feeling good, and like, this whole flight could be canceled." You're coming on. I'm like the person that's in charge of everyone.
Hmm.
Coming on, super like entitled and shit. I'm like, okay, look, sir. Um, it's either we can deal with this issue where you go take your seat,
Hmm.
or you can stay in Costa Rica.
Dang.
See, there's no argument. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? I don't need to,
Because they're there really to get the benefit of flying out, and it's
yeah,
up to you,
yeah,
right? You're kind of like
yeah,
the gatekeeper.
yeah. But that's exactly it. Or then there's another one where it was damn, I don't even know if I can speak about this one, but fuck it. This lady, she wanted to go to the bathroom, and we were already on the tarmac.
Okay.
Um, and so the plane was moving, and everyone needs to remain seated. She comes to the front. I'm like, "Sorry, ma'am, just please take your seat." And I'm in charge again. And then she goes towards the middle. I had already spoke to the flight attendants before the flight. I was like, "Look, this is what I had a whole game plan match. Like
Okay.
I'm super fun as like the in charge, but it's like I also want to do my shit, right?
Okay. Joe
So
the boss. All right.
I mean, no, it's not Joe the boss, but like, it's like, don't get me wrong, like I'm someone that like I have your back if something happens. Just give me
Yeah.
1 second.
Always.
And then so she goes to the middle and etc. And she's asking, "Hey, can I use the bathroom and stuff?" It's like, hey, the captain already told us, we're already moving and etc.
Hmm.
So she goes back to her seat, and then, you know, we did have a delay, and then he made an announcement on the PA. It was like, "Look, like we're delayed, but we need everyone to remain in their seats and
Hmm.
etc." It's like, okay, fine. So this was a flight from South America going back to Toronto. We go back, and we land. Everything is fine. Everything is chill. Um, I go back home, get home. I do my report because you have to do like a report within 24 hours
Okay.
of your flight. And I go to bed. This was a night flight too. I go do some groceries. I get a call from management. "Hey, did you know that like a passenger peed in her seat on the flight?" I'm
What
like,
the?
"Yeah, exactly.
As a
I'm
grown
totally
person.
a grown person. She peed in her seat during the flight." Yeah, da 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 da. Super aggressive and stuff. And I'm like, "No." So according to article, chapter this, nah, people need to be. I'm like, okay, whatever. Being super combative, and then I'm like, "Look, uh, you guys taught us this in training and etc. Whatever." And then so the person put me on hold. and gave me like another person and was like, oh, well, there's always two sides to the story, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And so after that situation, I was really like scared because I was like, yo, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to do this? Whatever.
Sure.
Anyways, through official sources, I learned that they tested the seat that she was at to test if there was urine. There was no urine on the seat.
Okay.
Yeah. So she basically lied about the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. What a
And it's just like, yo, like these people are just like,
entitled.
yo, that's exactly it. So entitled, you're doing this to get these benefits. And when, like the company, like paid her out a little bit and stuff like that before they knew that it wasn't true. You get what I'm saying? So stuff like that,
that's messed.
So I would say, like, in terms of, the actual flying itself, I've never had any like crazy situations except maybe like one abnormal landing, which was, there was like too much wind and then we circled around and then we landed. But I haven't had anything crazy like, electrical fire or, like shit really like went crazy. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, I'm just thinking, man, because I've known you from time. And it's just like, why flight attendant? How did you get into that space?
Dude, like I said, man, it was just random and it was out of necessity. And also it was just like, you know what, let's do something different. And also additionally, it's like, it gets me out of the city. I always wanted to move from Montreal because, like when I lived in the States and stuff like that, I lived in a place where it was so multicultural. Even our school was super multicultural, right? So I've always been, someone that's been in places where it's like a whole bunch of different cultures and stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, well, I want to see some shit, so yeah. And then that opportunity arose and it was like, okay, why not take that chance? And also like, I wasn't even 100% sure I was going to become a flight attendant because I was still enrolled in school at the time.
Right.
But it was just like going through that whole situation and experience. It was like, okay, fuck that. Like I'm going to do it. And yeah, I never looked back since. And this is why this whole COVID thing, and I don't know if you wanted to talk about it right now, but this is why whole COVID thing is so tough, right? Because I haven't been for the past like 2 years or well, before COVID hit, I haven't been inside Canada like for a longer period than like a week.
Dang.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm always in different countries, always doing different stuff and doing these different things. And honestly, I wish that I knew about this job when we were in high school, right?
Right.
Because that's probably the thing I would have done right off the bat. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
What's the best place you've been to? Like, what's your favorite destination?
Portugal.
Why?
Portugal, dude, it's a movie.
What do you mean?
Dude, it's like, how can I say this? I don't describe it. It's like so like aesthetically pleasing, the buildings, the cobblestone roads, and
we have that in Montreal though.
No, but it's not the same. You know what? Like the first time I went to Europe, it was like, I don't know if you know that song from Kanye West, Gone.
Which album is that?
Oh my God, it's
how does it go? Give us a quick sample.
High school dropout. No, I'm definitely not doing that. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, like you're actually in these places where there's so much history and culture and and yeah, my bad. But you were saying the best place I ever went to. Yeah, Portugal. The reason why it's so beautiful, just the sun is out, the food amazing. It's just like, how can I describe it? It's like, let's say you're in NDG, right? You're walking around NDG and those like apartment complexes.
There's
gonna be like, and then there's just gonna be like a restaurant inside the apartment complex. You know what I'm saying? Just like that, right? It's just, or you're gonna be at the beach, and then on the beach there's a restaurant, and then like you could legit put your sand on the feet while you're eating food. You know what I'm saying?
Put your sand on the feet?
I mean, put your feet on the sand. Sorry, while you're eating food, or like you want to get a bottle of wine, €2, full bottle of wine.
Dang, that's so
just like
chill.
super cheap, super nice. Dude, the nightlife, amazing. There's no like, how can I say that? It's like, even like if you're hanging out with VIPs, it's like
Right,
everyone's there together.
right.
Yeah, so I went there a couple times. I actually brought my best friend for like 4 days. We just went ham, we just went crazy, drinking, meeting different people, just having fun. It's just like a good vibe
Right.
country. Mind you, I've only been to like Lisbon and Porto, inside Portugal, but I am planning on going back this summer. One of my friends, she has a place there, so I'll definitely link up over there.
Dang. This guy's
Yeah.
living the life, man.
Honestly, why not, man? Why not? Because we live our lives, we work so much just to stay in one place. To me, that's such bullshit, right?
Right.
If you can travel and see the world, and that also like expands your mind,
Mhm.
so it's like, yeah, you see different places, different people, different cultures, and you could use that as a reference to like where you're living at. Like you're back in Canada
Right.
with the cold, with the snow, and it's just like, no, there are different places in the world with different vibes, different positives, and different like negatives also. But as a
Okay.
flight attendant, if I'm here for a couple days, I don't really have time to see the negatives, right? Then I go to
Right.
another place. So yeah.
Wow, look at you, all grown
Yeah.
up, man. That's crazy.
What do you mean all
Bro,
grown up, bro?
I just
We've been
like
grown up.
honestly, like for me, this interview, this podcast, whatever you want to call it, is such a
Mm.
it's an excuse for me to catch up with one of my homies, man.
Yeah, I
Like,
see.
like
Yeah.
so like hearing like I'm living vicariously through you. So like you're telling all
Yeah.
these stories, I'm like, dang. Like I remember the days when so back when we were in high school, man, we were
Mm.
some ghetto kids in private school.
We're ghetto as fuck. Fuck that school.
we were,
Jesus Christ.
we were some ghetto kids, bro. I remember a time, and I'm gonna kind of low key put you on blast. I remember a time where we used to share glasses because we were sitting in the back. I don't know if you remember that,
I totally don't remember that.
bro. Okay, so there was this one time where you and I were sitting in the back with one of our mutual friends, Angie, and stuff. You remember that? I think it was
Yeah.
grade 10.
Yeah.
Anyways, all three of us had bad eyes. We
Yeah.
still do, or I don't know if Angie does, but like, um, I remember I was the only one with glasses that was like good because you broke your glasses and Angie didn't have any pair, like her own pair. So we
Jeez.
used to just take turns passing our glasses so that we can see the freaking board.
I'm dead. I totally don't remember that. I
Bro,
so don't remember that.
oh my goodness, there's
That
so
is
many
such a
things that,
traumatic experience.
bro, there's so many things that we did in high school that was just like in any other school that would be kind of like, what is going on?
Yeah, facts. 100%. 100%. A
Yo,
fucking 100%.
you remember when we
100%.
got into detention and
And
I
then
did
we
that.
had to write down those Bible verses. That was
That's
honestly,
enough.
that was a really good thing. That's the thing that got me to stop like going to church.
Oh, you're actually disrespectful. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I totally forgot about that part. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I think that was just a waste of our time.
Yeah, it was. It really was, honestly. But yo, I talked about me this whole time. What's been going on with you?
Oh, dang. Okay, this is different.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, nothing. I moved out a couple years ago to go to school in Alberta.
Hold up, hold up. Let's start from like, how can I say this? Let's start from like, okay, you graduated high school and then what happened?
Yo, I like this. This guy. So for those of you who don't know, John is like a podcaster too. So
No, I'm
he's
not. Shut the fuck up.
check him out at 76 Galley. Super dope podcast and stuff. So that's why like he's like it's more natural for him because he's used to it. I'm just kind of like what next?
No, bro, you're fine. You're honestly fine.
Bro, I'm honestly like sweating under this like windbreaker
Chill, bro.
just because I'm so nervous because
Chill, bro.
you know?
Chill. Relax,
but yeah,
relax.
so going back to what you're saying, high
Yeah.
school. What did I do? Oh,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna just start off like towards the end of like prior to graduation. Remember when like our teacher was like, "How many of you guys got into college and stuff like that?" And people
I
like were raising
don't
their
remember
hands.
that, but continue.
Okay, I remember it because it was so traumatic for me.
Yeah.
Because I remember every single one of us, like in the class, like
Yeah.
oh, like I got into like Vanier, I got into Dawson, all these like Marinopolis and all that stuff. Like these are colleges in Montreal, and I remember like sitting in the back and not even raising my hand because I didn't get in.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like okay,
Yeah.
because I was in basketball, a lot of my classes were kind of mediocre. And I'm so
Right.
dumb. And here's the thing, I think the problem was that we didn't have anyone who could tell us like the steps of like how to get into school and what we should do and like all that
Yeah.
stuff, like a career
Yeah.
path basically. So I
Yeah.
didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I
Yeah.
did the typical Filipino thing. And as I tried up signing up to be a doctor.
A doctor or a nurse? I feel like
No, no. So
nursing
here,
is the
let me
Filipino
break
thing.
it down. So we started off with doctor. I tried to get into biology,
Okay.
um, which is stupid because
Yeah.
we had people in our class who were actually smart enough to get in there, and I was like competing with them for a spot into the program, and obviously I didn't get in because my grades were whatever. So then
Yeah.
I thought about like, oh, let's do the next best thing. Let's be a nurse,
Yeah.
and that didn't turn out either. And so man, like I remember it was a couple of weeks before grad, and like I still didn't get in. I got a bunch of rejection letters from all English speaking colleges just because I
Yeah.
didn't want to go to a French one.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I just didn't go to school for a couple of weeks. And then I ended up going to night school. I found out about night school. No one told me about night school until like later on. And so I did night school for a good semester, and I finally got into Vanier, which there was like I was trying to get my prerequisites because like, man, I don't understand what happened in high school, but a lot of it we weren't given proper courses that we needed for certain things. Like, there were some courses that we needed that wasn't even available to us.
I do agree with that, but I would say with growth and maturity, I would say that it's true that school was shit, but if we really wanted it, we would have figured it out.
Yeah. And that's what happened.
Yeah, because like in terms of, I don't know, like a lot of people in our classes, not all of them are like, a lot of them are fuck ups, but not all of them are fuck ups, right?
Right.
So it's just like, yeah, there is that. Hey, like we didn't even know how to write a proper essay out of high school,
that's crazy,
right?
man.
Which is crazy and stupid. But at the same time, there were people like they did their own thing. They figured it out.
And that's what happened to me. Like when I was in night school, like I had to do like the program that I was in plus extra other credits for like the prerequisite stuff.
Yeah.
So like I had to take English 101 to learn how to write an essay. Man, I remember spending time in the library just like going through resources just to learn how to write a 5-paragraph essay. And like all that stuff. And so like from there, that was kind of it for my first 3 years after high school. I was trying to get into nursing, and then pretty much like life took a turn. I went into a dark rabbit hole of like just exploration of like drugs and like alcohol and all that stuff because like I was going through like some family stuff. I don't know if you remember that, but like my auntie passed away and my grandpa passed away in like 30 days of each other, and that kind of took a turn on me. So I went into like this dark place, and I kind of was just like, I need to get out of here somehow. And like obviously being brought up in a conservative Christian home, like kind of God was like the answer for me at least. And so that transition.
Pause before we get into God.
Right.
What like drugs and alcohol did you like? What was rock bottom for you?
I mean, there was several. Rock bottom, I guess it was like a mix of a bunch of different events, but like the one I remember the most was one time I decided to take edibles for the first time. And it was like, the thing is with edibles, like you never know. Back then, before weed was legal and stuff like that, like you kind of just had to find a guy to get you what you needed, right? And like these back then, like it wasn't properly measured to like the standards that necessary, so you never know what you get really. And I remember like there was a time where like I took edibles not knowing how much was inside of it, and it took more than I should have because I didn't know that edibles don't react as fast as as taking like a blunt or something. And so like it took like 2 hours for it to kick in, and I had the worst trip of my life. I remember like just phasing out, like just going crazy, and what made it worse was that it lasted for 3 days.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it lasted for 3 days, bro. I woke up and I was still high.
Yeah.
I remember the second day when you wake up, you're like, "Oh, this is dope," this is cool. Third day hits and you're like, "I'm still here," and I'm like, "Yo, this is messed. I shouldn't be here. Like, I can't function."
Yeah.
And there are days where like because of that actual hit, like not anymore, I think, but like back then, I used to phase out and I would be like scared if I'm like, yo, am I still high? I kind of was tripping out a little bit. So that
Yeah.
was like one of the many different like rock bottoms.
Yeah.
And that just was the transition for me, honestly. Like I needed to get out of that. Like I
So
think,
so how did you meet God?
oh, okay, that's a whole like process of things. But like for prior to that, like it was just more so like I knew that I needed to be in control of my mind. Like I didn't like not knowing what was going on in an event or whatever. So that's when I realized I wanted to be sober. But how did I meet God was like obviously like the influences from home. Like I had, we both know my mom and stuff. Like she's very like Christian and stuff. And
Yeah.
like I already like even though I was going through that stuff, I was always still like in church, kind of like yeah, like even in high school, like I kind of was playing that like good Christian kid on the side kind of role, like like everybody was.
Mm.
And so like it was always there, at least for me. And then I guess the a few months before I decided to go to become a pastor, I guess, or a school, to become a pastor, like I kind of was like, I need to figure this out. Like, do I want to believe in God or not? And I told myself I'll give myself a year to like see if God was legit in my life and for my own understanding. And if not, then F this. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Okay.
And then not to sound cliche, but like I haven't turned back since.
Hmm.
Just more so not for the sake of like, oh, like I want to be like spiritual. It was more like I found something to look forward to in my day to day, like something that was more than just like myself, you know. Um, and I know that's like very, very vague still, but like I think for me, like it makes sense to me at least. And I think at this point, like for now at least, as I keep looking for stuff in life and try to grow, like I think that's all that really matters for now, until like obviously later on. I don't know if that makes sense.
Allow me to bring you to the dark side. No, I'm kidding.
Do it. Do it.
No, 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 no. I'm totally not. That's super inspiring to see that you were in that place and you got out of that, and now that you're a pastor. So what was the process like? What was the like you were just like, okay, I need to go to Alberta to study, I need to go to the States, and like what was that process like?
Okay, so similar to you, I just wanted to get out of Montreal.
Mm,
Um, it was more like I knew that this place was a place where like if I stayed here too long, I'd feel stuck. And the thing is, I didn't even realize that until like obviously later on. But like I knew that there was something off about staying here in Montreal, just looking at like people I was hanging out with and like my friends and whatnot. I was like, man, I need to do something with my life. And I was like looking at different schools in the States and like they're mad expensive out there. And like the only one I saw that was kind of, decent was like this school that we went to for our senior trip, which was so dumb. That's
the
another
cuck.
thing. So what?
CUC. I
Yeah,
said
man.
the cuck.
Pause. But yeah, so so I went there
God
just
damn.
because yeah, and like we had a mutual friend that was there before me, Dweez,
Yeah.
Dwayne. And like I was like, oh, cool. Like at least I will have a friend there. Little did I know that this guy was already graduating by the time I showed up. So I was like,
Hmm.
dang, I'm going to a new place with no one I know.
Yeah.
And yeah, from there it was kind of like a transition, like of finding people who were kind of like-minded, who wanted more for themselves. And that's what made me stay for the most part.
Hmm.
Was just this like group of like individuals who are like realizing that life is more than just themselves,
Hmm.
and like
Hmm.
yeah, like obviously like, it was a case of me running away from home kind of thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
but in the same time like I haven't gone home since. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say the same thing for me too. Like,
yeah,
just shit was so fucked up in Montreal, and I was just like, with the job, with the girl, with the, just the situation, being home with my mother and stuff, like, what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
just, I feel like you get to an age where you get so old that like living with your parents is just like unbearable,
right,
and you get mad over the stupidest shit, and it's just like, yeah, and don't get me wrong, now my relationship with like my parents, it's fine, but
yeah,
at that time it was just like a lot. It was just a lot to deal with. Um, but yeah, that's so cool that we kind of had the same thing, but we went like
Different
opposite
direction.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just going back to it, since we were just talking about that, like it kind of reminded me of another breaking point for me that I realized I got to get my life together. Was like there's one time, since you're talking about like, oh, like arguing with your parents and stuff. I remember like I would come home late and my parents would always be like, oh, like, because my parents, they love me, man. Yeah, shout outs to them. Like they would stay up just so that they know I'm home.
Yeah,
And like there were times where I'd come home at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. sometimes. But
that's
there's
too
one
much
time
though.
where,
They need to go to bed. Okay.
yes, but you know, like being me, they were always worried about like me being reckless and stuff. Like they
Yeah,
were, they
yeah,
couldn't sleep without me knowing that I'm like home and whatever.
yeah,
Anyway, so like there's one time where like I got into an argument with my parents. I was like, yo, let me do what I want to do, like get off my back kind of mentality. Like I hate you, mom, kind of,
yeah.
And then there's one time where like I was out with my friends and stuff like that. And this was around when my grandpa was like still alive and like struggling with cancer and all that stuff. And I remember coming home like mad, like tipsy. I was just like not really feeling it or whatever. And I remember like stumbling to get home. I was even shocked that I got home. And by the time I got inside the house, I tried to open the door slowly, try to sober up as it goes by. And then as I turned a corner, I see my mom carrying my grandpa to the bathroom
Mm,
because my grandpa was so weak he couldn't walk anymore.
yeah.
And I remember I just looked like I could, like I remember just staring at my mom and my mom looking at me, and all she said was, "All right, go to bed. Like, get ready to go to bed, whatever." I remember I go to my room and I started bawling. I
Yeah.
started crying because I was like, "Man, like, what am I doing?"
Yeah.
People I care about are like out here struggling, and I'm out here trying to live the best life I can be in such a very superficial way.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, man, I gotta fix my life. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was that, man.
I mean, there is that, but there's all, and mind you, this is not me making excuses for you. There's
Yeah, yeah,
you were going through your own things at the same time too. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So it's just like, yeah, I do get it, but you shouldn't like feel guilty for that
right.
because you were going through your own personal hell too,
Yeah,
you know.
no,
But it's true,
for sure.
you could have been there for your family.
I think honestly it was because of this like Filipino cultural thing where
Mhm.
like family is, your number one thing, even if your
Yeah,
family is dysfunctional. And
yeah,
so obviously that kicks in.
yeah.
But enough of
So,
me, man. But
oh, okay, enough
I
of
want to I
you.
want
All
to go to
right,
you now because like,
sounds good.
this is about you, not really about me.
Not a problem.
I kind of opened up about like my biggest, I guess, failures in life. One of the biggest. Like, how about you? What is one of your biggest failures, and kind of like, what have you learned from that?
One of my biggest failures in life, I would say what comes to mind is, oof, I would say what comes to mind is breaking up with my ex-girlfriend.
Dang.
Um, I think that we broke up for the stupidest reason. I think I was 22 or 23 when we broke up.
Do
But
I
I
know her?
think no, no.
Okay.
I think we just broke up because, you're young, you haven't experienced life and stuff like that. And she wanted to like live life. And I was like, who the fuck are you? Like you changed into this different person that I didn't think that you were. But there's not one day that I go without thinking about her,
Till this day?
without, yeah, till this day. It's really
Wow.
weird till this day. And like, don't get me wrong, there's a reason why we broke up and stuff like that, but I'm thinking that with the type of person that she was, I feel like I fucked it up with my soulmate, you know.
Hmm.
um
Hmm.
I could even tell you that's also one of the reasons why I left Montreal. I actually texted her the week I was supposed to move to Toronto,
Okay.
and I'm like, hey, I'm moving to Toronto, whatever. And then I just kind of wish she would have been like, hey, like, don't go, mind you, this
Dang.
was like maybe like a year or two after we broke up, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she never answered. So like I went
Wow.
to Toronto, right? But it's just like, I mean, dude, like, don't get me wrong, I'm totally her ex, right? It is what it
Right.
is.
And it's fair
Yeah,
on her part.
exactly, 100%, but it's just like I feel like she's that person that I completely fucked it up with, that. So I would say that's my biggest failure, because I don't really see myself with anyone else, like
Jeez.
I've been through the world, met different girls and shit.
Okay, Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide.
I'm yeah, my is worldwide as fuck,
Oh,
but beep 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 censorship. No, well, yeah, and it's just like, yeah, I haven't really met anyone that, was up to par with her.
what made her different?
Dude, she's just so genuine and kind and open, and I don't know. She was just everything, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, I just look back and I wasn't my best self at the time too. She'd be
Dang.
like, yo, I want us to cook together and stuff. I was like, no, you know what I'm saying? Just like, it's
That
like,
was the breaking point. No, I don't want to cook.
no, but it's just stupid stuff. I was just like petty with so much shit. I remember
Right.
like, because she was like, she's the reason why I went back to school.
Oh,
At the time, yeah, I totally fucked up at Dawson when I went to Dawson. And she was the reason why. She was like, yo, like, what are you doing with your life? She was like making fun of me. She was like, yo, like, I'm in school. What are you doing? And it was like,
yeah, that's dope.
shit, like, I need to get my life together and like get back to it, get a
Yeah,
plan, get a, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yo, she like the type of person that I am today in terms of like like it really doesn't seem like I'm a super disciplined person. Um,
right,
but when shit hits for example, my podcast, right?
right.
I can loaf, like for example, today, like I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna go out. I have a teaser to put out, whatever. I'm not going to sleep until like that teaser is done today. You get what I'm
I
saying?
feel you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's
I'm like
like,
that.
yeah, I can loaf, but if shit needs to be done, like it needs to get done.
Yeah,
And that's it. No excuses, no nothing, whatever,
yeah.
And I would say that she's the one that was like, okay, yo, like, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing? Like, you need discipline, you need to study, you need to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
okay, you're gonna study, all right, and then yo, we have like some freaky sex or something, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
but super encouraging,
Right.
super, you know what I'm saying?
That's so dope because like it's a different side of life that I think we were never shown, like to be motivated to do, like to get your passion or like go for
Yeah,
something, right? Like
yeah.
to have a something forward. Because I feel like, and I'm not trying to like, oh, we're some ghetto kids who didn't have anything. I feel like we're just not exposed to an environment where people were like go-getters, like get what you need to do, get your degree, get whatever you want, and like find success through that. Like I feel like
Well,
for
that's the
us,
thing. I feel like I was raised like that. I was
okay,
just
I
lazy.
wasn't.
You get what I'm saying? I'm going to be real. I was 100% lazy. I did not want to study. I did not want to do these
Yeah,
things. I
yeah.
did not want to. I remember in high school when they would tell us to write essays and shit and whatever. And then we would, as a collective class, would be like, yo, could you please make it shorter? Could you please do this? Could you please do that? Whatever. This is why I can't
I
blame
remember
our
that.
school so much
Right,
because I was totally complacent in that system, in
right.
terms of like French classes and stuff. I till this day, me writing French, I'm pretty sure like any immigrant from
Yes.
anywhere else can like write better French than I can. Shit, I'm in Ontario and people from here that maybe can't speak French write better French than I do. You get what I'm
But you
saying?
speak better than they do.
Yes, I speak, but that's because of my like family advantage, right? But
Right.
if it was for school, I would totally not know
Same.
what French is.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? So it's just like there's a bunch of shit that like it's like we have this mentality of like pushing shit on like other people, blaming other people for,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end of the day, it's like, no, these are our decisions that we made and we're
Yeah.
suffering the consequences, fine. And then, or like it wasn't the decisions that we made, but we're still suffering the consequences. How do we bounce back from that?
Jeez.
How do
Yeah.
we make that plan? How do we make that solution? That's actually the reason why I'm still in Toronto right now,
Hmm.
because I'm not flying
Right, right, right.
and you know I'm not flying. COVID hit, international borders are closed. With my company it would be mostly international flights, and it's like, okay, now you move to Toronto, what are you going to do? you know
Hmm.
I got to figure it out. Okay, I speak French. Now I'm going to apply to jobs where, French is something that's required. Right. And then, okay, cool. I have a job. Okay. I have a stable job, but like, I don't like what I'm doing, whatever. And I really miss flying. Okay. I'm going to start this podcast where I could still interact with people from work and still have that little,
Community of,
communal.
yeah.
That's exactly it. Just like, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I just
playing with the cards that you have, basically.
well that and I would say that she was the one that got me to be that type of person, you know. Before meeting her, like work, I could skip work, like who, you know. No, after meeting her, it's like, yeah, I'm going to work, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, no excuses, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah, I would say my biggest failure was not building something with her. Then again, I'm so happy I met her because she was such an integral part of like who I am today, right? But I would say one of my biggest mistakes would be that.
Dang.
Yeah.
It has to be a girl, eh?
It always has to be a girl.
For us guys, it's always is some girl that we messed up or messed us up.
So who messed you up?
Bro, don't get me started, man. Don't get me started. Shoot. There were some girls. Okay, I'm not gonna name names, obviously, because like it's not their story to tell or whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah. There was
Daniela.
one girl.
I'm kidding.
I was like, wait, what? No, there's one girl, man, like similar to your story, actually. Yeah. Like she was this person I met like a couple, like I've known her since I was a kid, and then like a couple years later we reconnected and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But like she was so dope because like she was the first person I met who specifically from the female gender who had a drive in life. Who had ambition, who had a goal, who was willing to sacrifice everything that she could just so to get that. That's kind of
messed up saying that was the only woman that she met.
And you got to understand, man, because like after high school, the people I was hanging out with were literally just a bunch of, not to be disrespectful to anyone who are listening, but they were just kind of people who just wanted to loaf.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. At the moment, it was fun, but like to have someone who saw beyond the moment.
Yeah,
I think that was some like life-changing for me at least. And I remember like this person was like super like, she's older. That's probably why. Yeah. But like, I remember like I was just really like into her just because of that. And then obviously like everything that comes with, you know, relationships, like, oh, she was like pretty smart, all that stuff. And then like, fast forward a few months of talking and whatnot, I kind of like started to fall. And, to make the story short, I know you don't like that, but basically I find out after a year of like kind of playing the role of like, oh, we're friends, but like we're more than just friends kind of mentality. There's no sexual whatever, but it was more like a mental thing. She was like, oh, I only see you as a brother. Like, I don't see you any more than that. And it was kind of sad because like, obviously like when I was
she kissing her brother?
No. No, not even like any physical touch. It was just like purely based on like just talking and friendship, really.
Okay.
Like, what kind of was sad was that like at that time, like I guess it might, you know, in my part, I might have read the lines wrong, but like it seemed like it was mutual. Like, oh, like, you know, like me and her were falling for each other kind of mentality. And who knows, maybe there was something there that I just didn't know that I wasn't quick enough to pick up. But like, like that threw me off. And like what made it worse was that like she went through a heartache, and then I'm revealing too much already. I feel bad, but she went through a heartache or whatever with some guy, and I kind of helped her feel confident about herself. And like she said it herself too, was like, oh, like thank you for making me feel loved again and all that jazz. But she's like, I'm not ready for a relationship. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll wait. You know, come to a few weeks later or a month later or something like that. She's like texting me like, oh yeah, there's this guy I'm recently talking to.
Oh,
I was like, oh, cool, fun, awesome. You know, tell me about him. Stupid idea. Why would I say that? But I did. And then she kind of revealed stuff, whatever. And then a couple weeks later, she tells me like they're dating.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's totally not on her.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her.
Totally a you thing, bro.
Right. Absolutely. I 100%. Yeah. But like obviously at that time I kind of took it as like, man, like, you know, she's missing out kind of mentality. But like, that broke my heart. But it did teach me about like the importance of like school, or even like not even school, just like having something ahead of yourself and trying to work towards that and finding your passions through whatever means necessary.
Not to be disrespectful.
Right.
You were not in love, bro. You were not
at that time. I thought I was. Bro,
Trust me,
I was
being in
what? I
love.
was 18, bro. Come
Okay,
on.
that's exactly it, bro.
Right?
You were not in love.
But that was
Love,
enough
bro.
to make me think I was.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, love, and if it's a heartbreak, you are all the way messed up. Like
Yes.
you, I lost so much weight after we broke up. Dude, like I
Dang.
think what usually I'm like around like 195, 200.
Yeah.
Bro, go down to like I think I was like 178, 176.
Yeah.
Dude, I lost so much weight. I was
That's
training
crazy.
twice a day. I was man, trust, bro. That's not love. Come on, Mike.
No, bro. Okay. You have to understand, man. Like I
Come on,
was,
Mike.
yo, when I was in high school, like I kind of was just playing off this, like, I'm a cool kid, trying to hide that I'm a good Christian.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like being brought down to like the state of humility of like, it's like, yeah, I don't care for you. I was like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah,
though at that time I thought that was love.
yeah.
Nah, man. If she's listening, yo, thank you for that experience. I'm happy for you and your decisions now.
Girl, he's single. Okay. Come
She's
back.
no. She's taken, man. She got to do her own thing. I'm happy for her though. But yeah, bro. Oh
I'm
man, that's so
dead.
crazy.
Mhm.
Girls, man, girls. Yo, why you got to do me like that, man? It brought me.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I mean,
Oh shoot.
yeah,
Um,
girls are interesting. What oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm not the host. Go ahead.
no, it's all good, bro. Go
No,
for it.
no.
Go for it.
My bad. My bad. No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
It's a conversation, man. So if you have a question, by all means, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I was just gonna say,
You're
like,
gonna
why
have to edit this shit.
it is what it is.
I
It's
know.
it's probably gonna be as whack, but I want to keep it as authentic.
No, it's
Uh,
good.
but I wanna ask you, like, since you were flying, then you got grounded. I think that's the
Mm,
term, right?
yeah.
Like, why podcast? Why did you? I know you touched on it a little bit, but like, I kind of want to go deeper into that. Like, why specifically podcasting? Why couldn't you just do Zoom and call each other?
I am an avid podcast listener. I if I'll probably listen to music when I'm like in the shower or something
Right.
or like working out, but I even during workouts, I listen to podcasts. There's so much information just coming in at you. Just like I feel like to me, it's like traveling, but in your ears,
Right.
because with a podcast, it's like
You
I
listen
can be
vicariously to the speaker.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like for example, I was listening to Radio Lab and they were talking about the development of I think it's called Rapamucin. It's like
What is that?
this soil that they found in Easter Island, and then um this guy basically like I guess stole from his lab because they wanted to shut it down because they didn't think it was going to be like something that was going to make them profit, and he like picked it up in the trash bag and then stored it in the freezer, and then he put it on his friend that had like a fungal infection, and then they saw that it stopped like the fungus, but
What
also it
the?
had like immunosuppressant quality. So all this to say, see like super interesting stuff that I would
Yeah.
never think about,
Okay.
and it's just like I just love listening to podcasts. um so I was like, and also during flying I would always say stuff like, hey guys, like we're having these dope conversations. And so the reason why it's called 76 Galley, um it's because of the Boeing 767. That's one of my favorite planes, not because it's nice, but
Is that the
because
biggest one?
so that was one of the big ones in my company. So it has, I think, like you could take like 285 passengers. So not because it was the nicest plane, but it's because it's the plane that I had the most memories in,
Okay.
because that's the plane that you get to go to South America. That's the plane that you get to go to Europe. That's the plane that you go, when
Those
you're going
long
to Disney
flights.
or something. That's exactly it.
Right.
Um, so, and then in the galley is the area where, we prepare the food, we prepare the drinks, we prepare stuff like that. Right. And, when you're taking a break, you're usually in the galley and, it's you and like six other flight attendants. Well, five, because you're the sixth. So five are the flight attendants. And you're just talking shit, or you're discovering who this person is, or, and I always said stuff like, like I should start a podcast. Like it should be called Galley Talk, but these like women in Sweden or Germany, whatever, they have
Yeah.
that name. So I was like, look, 76 Galley, and yeah, podcasting, because I love podcasts, and I feel like flight attendants, we have access to a world that not a lot of people have. You know, for example, like someone that, you know, probably has like a boyfriend in, you know, 3 different continents or something, you know,
Mhm.
or, you know, being able to access certain, you know, medication and stuff for way cheaper than it is in your country back home or something, you
Right.
know, like just just crazy stuff, crazy experiences, right? You're gonna meet different people, you're gonna see stars. Like I don't even pay
Have
attention
you?
to basketball like that, but you know the I think the owner of the Toronto Raptors, Uriah something, I don't,
I
or
don't
the
know, bro. I
president, I'm
only
not.
play the sport. I don't really
Yeah.
watch.
So you know, he was on my flight, or you know, I had the ex-president of Mexico on one of my flights,
Oh,
you know, just like, yeah,
just random people.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just to experience that, just to have these different conversations and stuff like that,
Right.
you know. For example, like I remember, um, I think this was, I don't know, I talked politics with like one
Dang.
passenger, and
Okay.
then so it was these group of people, they were like they worked in the oil industry in Alberta. Okay.
Shout out to Alberta.
And right, and they were talking about, well, you know, it's true, like all these people want like renewable energy with the sun and etc whatever, and then they were like, well, you know, like plastics are a derivative of oil, you know, this is the recycling, right? Or like we would
Mm,
have like these different conversations about different things and different point of views that I would not necessarily be exposed to,
right.
you know, if I wasn't a flight attendant, and I wanted to capture that in the podcast, right?
Jeez. Okay.
So right now it's just like, okay, I basically I'm at the stage of like introduction, you know. Now it's just like, okay, once you listen, you get to learn what the life of the person is and etc, and then, you know, a couple of experiences that they experienced, and then stuff like that, whatever. But I'm
Hmm.
thinking like more long term, we're going to get into those things with that perspective of someone that, you know, is a flight attendant. Like, you know, you
Right.
have, for example, let's say like you do a policy here, right? How would that work inside your home country? Because you go to these different countries and you see how that country is, you see how
Oh.
nice it, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah, and it all depends on like who I'm speaking to, which flight attendant and stuff like that.
Dang.
But you know what I'm saying? So it's just like podcasting, because that is the thing that can get my foot into the door to like expand and like be
Yeah.
bigger, and you know, have bigger ideas and
Jeez.
stuff like that, you know.
So
Yeah.
that makes that now it makes sense to me why you're so like profound and like your
Profound.
no, okay, like okay, I'm just kind of like, here's the thing, I'm really basing it off the fact that like from last time we've actually been in the same room together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like doing stupid things and like coming to, 10 years after graduation and like
Yeah.
just sitting down and just talking to you and kind of like low-key picking your brain. It's just like,
Yeah.
man, like you could see the transition of like of growth. What? No, okay, I know I'm being corny or
Nah, bro,
whatever,
I'm a
but
fucking idiot. I'm
no, but that's why I love it. That's why I love it, man. That's why I still love you, bro. Because like you could be so stupid and then come up with this like, oh, perspectives and like all these different things. And I was like, yo, that's the Joe I know. Yo, that's legit. That's so dope. So okay, like can you say that like being a flight attendant is your passion,
Honestly, man, it
or is it
really
something
is.
deeper?
I think being a flight attendant is truly, it's truly my passion. But honestly, it's really about being in the air, and like, even so, before starting the podcast, I was actually supposed to go to piloting school and stuff like that. And then
Hmm.
um I was like, okay, like, you know, like right now, like who knows where this economy is gonna go. It's about like 70K and stuff like that. So look,
Right.
I'll like focus on something else, you know. And so yeah, got into podcasting and stuff like that. But like in terms of like I would say so, man. Honestly, like you get it if you get into a room and there are more than 2 flight attendants or like a pilot too. All we're talking about is flying experiences and
Dang.
related to flying. It gets, mind you, like I'm starting to like catch myself and notice this because, for
Right.
example, like I went to like a park 2 days ago or something, and then it was a group of us. We were like one, two,
It better be
3,
COVID
4,
safe, eh?
5. Bro, we're vaccinated. As far
I
as
mean,
I
I
know,
think
I'm good.
you should be.
As far as I know, I'm good. And then so 5, and then so we were a group of 7, and then there were 2 people that weren't flight attendants.
Mhm.
And bro, like I could see that the people that weren't flight attendants weren't really getting it, and it's just
Hmm.
like, but at the same time, we love our jobs so much, it's kind of fucked up to say, but it's so much like a part of our identity,
Hmm.
like when I step into somewhere, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm a flight attendant. Oh my God, you're a flight attendant. And then they
Yeah.
ask you all the same bullshit questions. But you know what I'm saying?
Probably the same questions I asked earlier.
Actually, no. You, it's like a bit more deep, but it's just like usually they ask you, oh, do you always fly the same route? Do you? It's just like,
Right.
no, like I pick and choose what I want. Anyways, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's so much part of like my identity, you know what I'm saying? Or like
Right.
just aviation itself, to be able to like, fuck, my barber was in Colombia before, I would get like my haircut at least like once or twice a month. And my barber Angel in Colombia, the barber shop is called Mustache. I would just walk from the hotel, go get my haircut, get a couple mangoes, and then come back. Or some people would do their
Yo,
grocery
you're for sure
shopping.
international, bro. This
Yeah,
guy's
but
yeah.
you get what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah, that's
just,
so dope,
it's
man.
a
Shoot.
life that like people don't have access to. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And it's just like, unless like you're like uber rich, which I'm not, being a flight attendant is like the next best thing.
Best thing.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's so dope, man. I'm so happy for you, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
No
glad that
doubt.
you found something that like you're really into. Cause like, man, some people are just, still bumming around trying to figure out life. And like to see
Yeah.
someone who's like, yo, this is what I'm down to do probably for the rest of my life, right? Is that the same for you?
Honestly, well, I always thought about being a flight attendant as something I would keep on the side,
Wow. You could do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Because eventually when you build enough seniority,
Right.
dude, you can totally make your schedule where you work like 2 weeks on and then 2 weeks off, and then you just live your life. So like it's always something I thought of like doing on the side.
Hmm.
And even like a lot of flight attendants and a lot of pilots, like they have like side jobs, like they own like a construction company, or like they're in real estate or something, or there's always something else to do. So
Right.
me as a flight attendant, I was always trying to figure out the something else, right? And then I did talk a lot about doing podcasts as a flight attendant, but having access to that life and having fun and enjoying myself
Hmm.
really like got me out of focus. But I would say the pandemic is the thing that like buckled me down, and
Right.
like, okay, hey, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm doing that, and it's just weird now, because now that I'm starting to go out, it's like, oh yeah, you're the podcaster. And then it's like, oh shit, yeah, I am the podcaster, and it's like, yeah, so that's definitely like
That's dope.
media and stuff like that. That's definitely something that I do want to get into,
Dang.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm sorry to cut you off because like it's already almost an hour.
Oh,
But like one
my
last
bad.
thing before we kind of no, this is just dope for me because like I'm
Yeah.
catching up with one of my good friends. But one last thing is like for those people who might be listening who are trying to figure out what their passion is, like what's an advice that you can give based on your experience on like pursuing passions and stuff?
Just fucking do it.
That's what's up.
Honestly, it's really that you're unsure something. Like me, when I applied to be a flight attendant, I spoke to 2 of my best friends and my mother, and I asked their advice, and then they were okay with it. I was okay, let's go, just do it, start it, and then see what happens after. Even with the podcast,
Right.
I dropped it, and then it was like, okay, every week, okay, we're doing this every week,
Yeah.
and then just do it to the max, do it till the wheels fall off. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. But at least you can say that you tried it, and you have something that you can show people, like, yeah, I did this, now, like, if I have a job and etc., whatever, and I'm applying to do something else, whatever. For example, the job I'm doing now, it's like an office job, but I put that I have a podcast in my resume, right? That's something that no one can take away from me because I did that, right? So if you have something that you really want to do, just do it and then figure it out after.
That's dope. That is so dope, man. Bro, this sucks that it has to end now, but thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm
No stress,
sorry if
bro.
I'm like not as pro as you are.
Anytime, bro. Bro, get the fuck out of here, dude. Stop like putting yourself down. Like
Nah, man.
you're
I'm
doing
just saying, like, man, like,
no, but you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're doing what you're
man,
supposed to
I'm just
do.
looking at you and you're like so chill. I'm like, all right, what's the next question? Like, what am I gonna do next? Watching the time and everything. I'm like, oh gosh, and like you're just there, just yeah.
I
Man.
like being in the other seat. This is cool. I don't have to stress about anything. Like I'm like,
Bro,
oh, okay.
man, this is why I usually have my co-host with me, because then he alleviates the stress. Because I'm like, man, I don't know, it's awkward silence now. Okay, let's say something.
Nah, man. Honestly, nah, you're good. And just, bro, just keep on doing what you're doing.
Thanks,
and then
bro.
you'll figure it out. And then, you'll have a format. And then that's pretty much it, honestly.
Yeah,
and
man,
then
I got to get you back on this podcast, bro.
No, 100%. 100%.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Then,
Where can they find you, bro?
Then we could get into the ratchet stuff. No, I'm kidding. Where can they find me?
Yeah.
It's the 7-6.
I'm like, yo, hurry up.
The 7-6 Galley on Instagram. Also, my Instagram handle is right turn to hell. So right like writing. So yeah, right turn to hell. And yeah, follow the podcast. And if you guys enjoy it, let me know. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
For sure. Thank you, bro. If you guys don't know how to spell it, it's going to be in the description down below. Or if you're listening, just look at the bio, whatever, all that stuff. But
right.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you, man.
No stress.
Yo, it's crazy, man, how far we've come, honestly.
It's I feel like you didn't talk enough about you, but whatever.
But we'll save that for the next time.
Good.
Hopefully, I'm more pro at this. But
more pro. Okay, Pastor Joe. Pastor.
Forget it. Get out of here. Stop it. All right, I'm gonna end it. Peace.
All right, peace.
Yo, what's good? Thank you guys for listening to our episode with John and talking about being a flight attendant and just life experiences. I hope you guys were able to see a glimpse of kind of just our growth from there. But like always, check him out, 76 Galley on Instagram. Check us out as well on Instagram for more of us, pretty much, as a podcast crew. Me and Dom will be posting there as much as possible. So check us out at Kwentossentials, at Kwentossentials podcast. I think that's what it was. I don't remember, but the links will be on the bottom. So check that out. And as always, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching us from YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, comment, please, because the more we get feedback, the more we can, push our podcast to become better. And so that would be, much appreciated. And as of course, you can listen to us Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. But next few episodes coming up. Now we got some good stuff coming for y'all, so stay tuned for that. But I'm gonna leave it there on a cliffhanger so y'all can just check us out. But we got some good stuff coming, so I'm excited, man. But yeah, thank you for watching the Kwentossentials podcast. Peace.